I thought our guys collectively and defensively, we were, numbers, as you look at the numbers, they probably don't look real good. Yards per attempt, yards per play, not very good over 6 yards. But, third down, they're 30%, so we're 70% on third down. That's normally pretty manageable. The deal was, I think defensively they rose up and they stopped UCLA when it needed to happen. Now we had some assistance in regards to penalties, but the fact that we were able to put the brakes on, here's a team with 6.5 minutes to go. You've held them to 1 touchdown, and not that that's the best offensive football team in the country. I'm not saying that, but nevertheless, they scored. It's all they scored, I think, against until late in the game against Tennessee. So, defensively, I thought we played pretty well. I don't know where I'm going with all this, but just recapping the game, I guess. Let me stop because I was anxious to get out of here. You already get me out of here. So.
What are you really liking about the defense?
Well, I think we're kind of like with the entire football team. I think we're playing with a little more effort. We're playing with a little more spirit. We've become a little tougher. We are making fewer mental mistakes, at this point in time. And I said we're playing, we're a little tougher. I think that's permeated our football team. I have a great appreciation for a lot of young guys in our program right now. We're playing, what do we say, playing hurt, and are on the field with a variety of different injuries, so to speak. But it's and it takes a lot of courage to do that and continue and refuse to come off the field. And we have that on the defense, we have that on the offense, and I appreciate a great deal for that. So that's what I mean by we're becoming much tougher, and it permeates both sides of the ball.
I think a lot of Carson's growing pains. How are you happy with the play of your wide receivers on the other end?
Not where we need for them to be. No, we've got a lot of work to do there. Part of it is becoming acclimated to what we're trying to do. Part of it is effort. Part of it is just mechanics. I think as much as anything, there's a lot of issues there, but like others, you see some headway as we go. I thought Mark Brown made a great catch along the sideline in the ball game, and did some positive things, but he had a lot of negatives or a lot of minuses as well. So we've got plenty of room to grow.
Coach, talk about the play of Daniel. He's been a workhorse through the first 3 games. Talk about his play.
Yeah, but I could probably only really say what I've said so many times. He's he's a very talented athlete. He's very fluid in the way he runs. He can be a physical runner as well, and he has good size to complement his ability to run the football. And he's got the capability to throw it a little bit, as you saw in the ball game. So he's kind of a multifaceted young guy. The thing I love about Daniel as much as anything is he's a very humble young man, a very gracious young man, very unassuming, and he's quiet on the field, and I'm sure he opens up a little bit more when he's around his friends. But he's just really a good person who I appreciate a great deal to go along with what he offers on the field, and he makes people miss. As I said, UCLA is I think is a pretty doggone good defensive football team, and they're a pretty doggone good football team with pretty good players. And and you see even in that ball game, he made a few of them miss. He's got a little knack about it.
With respect to your other players, could you imagine what this offense would be like without a Daniel Thomas on it?
I could probably imagine that.
You want to. Looking,
When you say he's quiet on the field, what do you really mean by that?
Well, I mean, just his personal demeanor. I mean, he's not he's not a rah-rah guy. And I didn't mean it just on the field. I mean,
Right.
In all facets of his life. I mean, when you visit with him, you guys have had opportunities to interview him, and I think you probably find him exactly the same way. Just a preserved young guy, very friendly, but just quiet.
Because he is such a productive part of your offense, would it be to your advantage as a team if he were a little more demonstrative or something?
Yeah, I know where you're going, Ken. And I think that's true of so many players. When you have somebody that really steps up and provides, quality play on the football field, those are the young guys that your football team, players on your team tend to look to. I mean, do you always want it that way? Not necessarily, but that's the way it is. And you'd love for them to be, to invest themselves in a major leadership role. But it's hard sometimes for young guys to change, their own persona and be that vocal leader when indeed that's just not their nature. I think Daniel, is making the attempt and is trying. I've watched him in practice, and he, speaks up a little more now than he did. And part of it is him getting comfortable, in a new environment. I mean, he came in late July, so he hadn't been here really very
Is
long.
that something you would think would evolve? That as
Well, I think up to a point it will. I just don't. He won't put himself out of character, and I don't want him to be out of character. I want him to be Daniel. But I think he will. I think he will continue to grow in that capacity to be able to provide some leadership. But sometimes that he still has some leadership capabilities. I mean, it's that by example type thing. I mean, he's a hard worker. You give him the football in practice, he'll go to the end zone with it. He's not going to run 5 yards and stop and turn around and come back. So he sets some examples as well that are prominent with our players.
That's been made of the quote-unquote Wildcat offense, but does it really differ much from the quarterback run game that you've had, especially with Daniel, who's got some experience at quarterback?
I mean, it's just something we've always done.
Yeah.
With quarterback and with whoever's pretty good running back there. And no, I mean, the answer to the question is no, it's the same thing.
If I'm correct, I believe you haven't been able to convert on 3rd and short about 50% of the time. I think you're a little bit under that. When you're in like a 3rd and 4 position, do you get the feeling that young players tense up during those times?
Well, I don't think so. I think they are probably just like they are on other down and distance situations. To us, 3rd and 4 is not a short yardage situation. I think to most people it probably isn't, and it's a lot. There's a tremendous difference between 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 1. But we're not as good. We're not really good at either one of those right now. The capacity to advance the ball in those down and distance situations becomes a little bit more difficult if there's any facet of your game that's not relatively complete. What I mean by that is, if the option to utilize the vast majority of your offense is not present in those down and distance situations, then it allows. It's kind of like goal line offense and defense. You go down on the goal line, and so everything is restricted down there, and it eliminates a large part of your game, and so it makes it a little more difficult to run the football, which is what most people normally want to do down there. And when you get out on the field, if you don't have, on those short and medium yard situations, if you don't have a viable capacity of your offense to be able to intermingle the passing game with the running game, then it makes it a little bit easier to defend.